Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Coffee House. I am Carmen Denisco, coming to you from our Clearwater studio in sunny Florida. And I have my partner, my cohort, my co-host, Mr. Christopher Shara, somewhere up in New York City. Hey, Chris, you up there?
Hey, Carmine, I'm here.
What's happening, man?
I'm enjoying my coffee today.
I see it's a little cool up that way.
A little cool, yeah, it's a little cool, but just the way I like it. It was a little cold yesterday for me, so I stayed inside.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good plan. But, when you're inside, you're still probably getting millions of things done, hundreds of phone calls. I know you're always talking, scheming, getting the next show set up. And I know you're up in Manhattan today, right?
Yeah. I had a great meeting with a music and film. A film producer who I had hit it off with some time ago at a TV festival, and he gave me his information. We decided to meet today at his apartment on Central Park West, and we just had a great conversation for some future plans. When I was done with the meeting, I decided to go coffee hunting, and I found a Joe Coffee within 12 blocks.
Wow. Oh, only 12 blocks.
Listen, I'm a walker. I actually got here early enough so I could walk Central Park.
Wow. Joe's Coffee is awesome. Obviously, anyone that lived or has visited Manhattan has probably walked or driven by or gone into a Joe's Coffee. There's no doubt about it. You can't really be in Manhattan too much without knowing about Joe's Coffee. I mean, they have a whole bunch of coffee houses up there, right?
Yeah, it's amazing because the one I stumbled onto when I was car hunting, I ended up looking at a Cadillac dealership, and there's a beautiful coffee spot in the Cadillac dealership, and it's Joe Coffee. That was my first experience with them. Then I mentioned it once when I was in Yorktown to one of our promo places called Vic's Deli, and he told me about Joe Coffee, and I said to him, that's right on my radar because it's such a big, well-known coffee here in Manhattan. I actually reached out to the owner who created it. Just, I do that to see if I get a response, and I did. They had their rep call me and say, "You're doing a podcast? Boy, we would love to shoot with you at one of our locations."
Yeah.
So that's basically how it works, right? I mean, we keep making these connections.
Do they, a lot of these new boutique type coffee houses that we run into, and we're going to do some shots and some shows from, does Joe's roast their own coffee? Is it somewhere?
They do. They have their own product. I bought a cup today. Compliments of the company.
No.
I'll put it in the folder with my parking ticket.
I mean, do they roast it within the facilities, or they have their own places and then they truck the stuff in? I mean, some of these coffee houses are really it's kind of, to me, it's like how wine was a few years ago. Now, wine's still big, but it's like everyone has got this boutique type coffee taste now.
Yeah, and they do have a main facility, but they also can do it right at the location, which is very cool. I don't know if you could see behind me, there are bags of coffee that with grinds in them. People obviously buy it, take it home, and do their own grinding, which is very cool. But I would say Joe, among the many that I have found down here, Joe is really up there because when I did the coffee festival this year here in Manhattan, Joe had a booth, and they were so well known. You see the lines. Even when you go to any of his locations here in Manhattan, there's just lines out there. People revolving door. So.
Wow. It's funny you say you mentioned that you went to a Cadillac dealership and you stumbled onto Joe's Coffee in the Cadillac dealership. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
I was blown away. It was so classy. The cars are impeccable, and of course I had to do my usual, take my Joe Coffee cup and put it on the Cadillac.
Take a picture.
I can't help myself. And I did it on the front and the back, on the hood. And man, were those cars immaculate and beautiful. Even everything in the place, the sink to wash your hands in the bathroom, the bathrooms were phenomenal. Wow. Just really. So then you sit on the couch and you're having coffee in a Cadillac dealership, and you're just sitting back and blown away. I get their concept of that because I couldn't move. I was set in.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the reasons that you and I both, were discussing that. Hey, listen, let's start hitting some of these specialty coffee boutiques, because it's turning out now to be an experience when you go into one of these coffee shops and you can sit down and relax. You kind of forget that you're in Manhattan, right?
That's what's really interesting me about this, because I just don't care where I park my car. I like to walk. I'm a walker. I just have to go around the block practically and just keep walking. Yes, we have our phones where we can punch it in, which I'll just put in coffee boutiques, and you'll be surprised how many you get within 0.04 miles. And you find yourself walking. As you're walking, you run into another one and another one, which is so great because I get to come in and scope the place, kind of look at what they're doing. A lot of times you hear the grinder going. So everybody enjoying, just relaxing. It's when you come through that door, I notice it is a feel. It is a whole different world.
Yeah, that's cool. Is there I know that you've gone to many of these coffee houses, like, so with Joe's, is there a special coffee that you get? Is there a special blend? I know you just get kind of straight coffee. Is there a special blend that you get though?
Well, because I use coffee as, like you do, as a great way for health and curbing appetite and keeping calories low. I actually, when I asked for my own cup, I wanted just a light roast in my cup. My first question was, how many calories are in it? It's without the milk, it's only 1 calorie for a 12 ounce. So, it's those kind of things I look for. So each place I go to, I'm not big on using cream anymore. I don't use anything. I just want to taste the bean. I want to taste the coffee. And that's what happens each time I go to these places. I get a different feel, a different taste. The bean.
Yeah. What I love doing is when I hit some of the coffee boutiques down here is I love watching the baristas make stuff, the specialty drinks. We don't get to drink those, obviously, but it's like it's an art form, and it's really catching on. So cool. And I can't wait to start getting some of the filming of that. I know we're going to be bringing on a videographer and be getting the film of that. I know this is an audio podcast, but we'll be driving people to watch the videos also, because I think it's going to be a lot of fun to show.
Yeah, because I never realized what it goes into it. Just reading and learning about the bean, how it starts out as in green, and then when it's brought here, and then when they put it through the roaster and they make it, I'm learning every day, and all I want to do is drink their coffee. But it's so interesting, and then to find out how many people drink coffee. I'm not addicted. I want to be addicted because it really keeps me from going out and looking for anything else to eat, worrying about what am I gonna have for lunch? That coffee just levels me right now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And that's not something I know that I follow you online, and you kept the same kind of information with people all through this. I know you kind of transitioned into that and went into the coffee, but the health aspects of it are deeply embedded in our show and in what you do all the time.
That's the important part, because I fell onto coffee. It was by default. It was merely because I was so limited to 500 to 800 calories a day. I couldn't even have more than a cup of salad, a cup of vegetables. So it was a way for me to get all the fat and all the detox my body down to, which ended up being 50 pounds lighter. Coffee was how I found the way to survive. It was actually to survive because it took away my taste buds for anything else, which I was a pasta fiend. I would eat pasta. I called it violently sometimes because I loved, once I started, I wouldn't stop. There was always the end plan, the end game of when I'm done and I'm in my 50s, how am I going to stay in shape? I was always in the gym, always big on health. It got away from me, and it gets away from people I see because they don't realize that you need a substitute. You need something with comfort that is not a bad comfort food, and this is what saved me.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about coffee too, is I feel myself getting a little hungry or something. And I used to do the same thing, just go and snack on some stuff. And now if I could reach for some coffee and if it's enjoyable, actually it's great because it lasts a lot longer than just eating something real quick, because I'll have a cup of coffee for an hour in my hand.
Oh, that's true. And as long as there's a microwave nearby, I take care of that too. I get so involved in what I'm doing that I kind of let it sit. To me, I consider myself lucky because of coffee.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. And then that's what we're doing about this show, man. We want to bring this experience, this fun, this health benefits to all our listeners, and we want to hear from our listeners too. I mean, what they have felt and benefit. I think it's a lot of fun searching out. I mean, when we go for bike rides down here in Florida, we take some long bike rides sometimes, and we'll use it as a destination. We'll use a coffee house that we haven't been to as a destination and kind of a reward to hang out there and have a great cup of coffee. You talk. It's really coffee houses have turned into a mixer, whereas to me, people aren't going on first dates to dinner anymore. A lot of times I'll be in a coffee house and you'll see these couples, and you can sometimes tell they're either on a first date or they just met each other, but they're using these coffee houses now instead of going to dinner or doing things in it for a long term.
You absolutely hit the nail on the head with that, because the old days, think about it, you're away. What are we having for lunch? Where's the pizza place? Those days are long gone, and I was a victim. There's no way I could give up having a wedge. Now I can't even think of going to a diner. I can't remember the last time I was in a diner. When I am faced with being in these places, it's so cool that I'm the guy studying the menu, trying to figure out, what if I put this protein with this? And it really works. And then I always say, I'm going to have this protein, this, and then I'm going to have my coffee, and I'm going to be level, and it works. And I really think we're hitting home with that message, because you really don't need all the other stuff. You can eat so good at your same favorite places.
That's cool. Well, cool, man. We're going to start closing up the show. I know that you have to run. You're out in Manhattan. What you have just off the top of your head for some of our next shows that are up and coming? You have anything kind of scheduled or in the books, or are we trying to do it off the cuff?
Well, I like doing it off the cuff, but I think we should hit home with the next two coffee houses on the bean, how they make it, how they do their coffee, because there's the owners of these coffee houses that I have for the next shows. They're very big on their place and the ambiance of their place. So I think if we get that message out, how intricate it is, as far as them making the coffee and the feel of sitting there, then what it's going to lead into is I have a couple of things working with in the fitness field that's going to be very cool. I would like to say that a couple of shows down the road, because there are fitness people, I found out, doing exactly what we're doing as far as having their coffee.
Wow.
They love their coffee. I would have never thought that. I always thought the fitness people were into their protein shakes and their gallon of water, or 2 gallons of water by 12 o'clock. Okay, so there's going to be some cool stuff coming that I think will be really interesting to our listeners, and they'll enjoy.
Well, that's cool. And as people know, coffee is a diuretic. So if you usually drink a gallon of water and you drink coffee, you have to drink a little bit more water, but it's enjoyable to drink the coffee. So, health enthusiasts will know that they have to drink a little bit more water if they drink coffee, but the coffee will help with their diet, with their urge for eating. So it really pays off in the long run. So I think it's cool that you found some health enthusiasts that are kind of, going the same round we are.
Oh, absolutely. And back to your point with the water, let's face it, we're supposed to drink 8-ounce glasses a day. We're not doing that, all of us. So if the coffee helps you have a water, how can you go wrong? Any way that pushes you down the right path for eating and drinking, I'm all for. And eventually we'll get into some before and afters of when I was suffering with a CPAP and sleep apnea, that really was debilitating me down to the point where I was afraid to go to sleep at night. And I really want to hit home with that message on these shows. That would be really make me feel good.
Yeah, maybe we'll put some series together on the health benefits and different types of things like that. I do want to mention one thing real quick before we go, and I'm not sure if you're still working with her or not, but I read some articles of one of the singers that you worked with, Jessica Lynn, that she's putting together a TV show. Is that something you're not involved in, but have you heard of something about that?
Well, I was actually meeting our videographer at the Dramatic Hall in Peekskill, where Jessica and her dad, who I work with, Daydreamer Productions, they were having a meeting talking about the show that's coming up in February. I do owe Peter lunch. I'd like to sit down with him. We always kick around ideas. He pushed me into the right direction in this field and this business. So it's always nice to go like where she came from, what she did, and now where she's at. And the irony is it's at Dramatic Hall, which is Kurzal's Coffee. If you remember, I've done a couple of mornings of coffee there on the rainy days. Beautiful place. So yeah, I always keep phone lines open, and we always keep communication back and forth respectfully too, which I love about them.
That's cool.
That'd be great to actually talk to her and get her on the show.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. That would be cool. And as you said, it just happened to meet at a coffee house, which 99% of us Americans either did, have done, or will do at some point. So it's pretty cool. All right, man. Well, we're gonna close with the show. But I love this Joe's Coffee stuff. I would love to maybe go to a few other facilities and maybe, like you said, either get some of the baristas on or the owners, or I really would love to explore how they've grown this business. I know they do classes, they do barista courses, and they do catering. It's pretty cool. So anyone that's listening right now, go on to joescoffeecompany.com and learn a little bit more about Joe's Coffee, because there's a lot to learn. And Chris and I are learning about it all the time. He keeps stumbling into different facilities, which is cool. So, all right, Chris, we're going to hang up, and we will catch you at the next coffee shop on the next block, I'm sure, wherever you're at. And make sure you start getting me some of these coffee mugs and shirts and stuff. I haven't really gotten anything down here. I'm sitting here in my coffee shop, which everybody can see, but with nothing.
Yeah, I just don't want to let you take the focus off me. I'm the one running around in the cold. I did put in for you to get some, though.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for listening. And for Mr. Chris Shower or Mr. Christopher Shower, for myself, Carmine, thank you for listening to the Coffee House podcast. And we will catch you next time on the Coffee House Show. You all take care.